Hi guys, Itai here. We are in a 737 with United cruising from San Francisco to Newark. Right now over Iowa. You can see on the map here, we passed Omaha, almost Des Moines, then Cedar Rapids, then Chicago. So it's all, this is Chicago, that big cluster over here. And today I want to talk about some of the stuff that pilots do during cruise. Before I do that, I just want to discuss or just say for a second what's going to happen with the channel. Yesterday I just finished the series, the Pan Am Around the World flight, Pan Am 2, where we circled the world. This was a fun one. It was an 11-leg endeavor from New York all the way to San Francisco to the east. So we did London to, New York to London, to Düsseldorf, to Beirut, to Karachi, to Rangoon, to Bangkok, to Hong Kong, to Tokyo, to Wake Island, to Honolulu, and finally to San Francisco. It was a fun series on the 6 and the PMDG DC-6, basically imitating the flight schedule of Pan American World Airways 1954. You're welcome to check that out. Back to normal modern day aviation in the next few days, and then I'm going to take a break from the channel because of some business going in my real life. So I will still be always available to interact with you guys, but no, probably not the new videos for the next month or so. So that's a quick update, and now let's talk about the reason I'm making this video. What do pilots do during cruise? And I know there's some other vague answers to that on YouTube and over the news. Is like very generalized, and I want to just show you what do we actually do in cruise. I'm an airline pilot in my day job as well, and I just wanted to actually show you what we're doing. So first of all, when you get to cruise, there's a few checks we want to do. One of them is that the fuel is balanced between the tanks, as in we're not drawing fuel from a tank we shouldn't, and also there's no imbalance developing. And as well, we can check it out in the perf page. We can check the actual fuel situation, and you see 10.7, 10.6. There's a small, very small discrepancy between the actual sensor real life and the FMS. We want to make sure that this difference is very small, because if it starts developing, it might indicate deeper problem, like a leak, for example, that's happening after the fuel flow metering sensor, etc. So this is the first thing we want to check. After that, in general, that right here and right now the fuel situation is good. We want to check the fuel over the destination. That is good. Shortly after takeoff, we saw it was 6.6. Now it's showing 6.5. So something changed with regard to the prediction. What are we going to have when we reach our destination, Newark? A difference of 100 kilograms is not significant, but if we see that difference started developing again, it might indicate of a different, big problem, like we cannot develop the performance we thought we would, or the winds aloft are not like we thought they would be. So a whole different array of problems. So that's the fuel. And finally, we have fuel checks. Fuel checks are something that we finally, not that's the end of it, but also just in regards to fuel management. So in fuel checks in my company, we have to do once an hour, and the way we do that, I know you heard that we check the fuel, but I can show you how we do that. This is the flight release or the flight plan, and if we scroll down, we get to the log, to the each individual leg list, and we can find the waypoint that we're currently flying to or flying from. So right now we're flying from OBH to DBQ. So OBH is here and DBQ is here. Let's make it slightly bigger. So where were we? Yeah, OBH is here, DBQ is here, and we can check out where we're doing a time and a fuel check. So let's just focus on the next waypoint, okay? DBQ, Delta Bravo Quebec. When we reach DBQ, we should be 3 hours and 1 minute in the air, and if we forget what it is, we can scroll to the top and we can see the menu here, total time. So at DBQ 3:01, I know that we took off at 14:59 Zulu, and we are going to reach DBQ at 17:58, which means we're going to be in the air 2 hours and 59 minutes, as opposed to what we planned for originally, which is 3:01. So in reality, we're doing time-wise better 2 minutes than the plan. So we call it plus 2 minutes. We would actually write it plus 2. So plus 2 minutes. Same we can do for the fuel. We were expecting total time, total fuel on board. We can check that as well. Estimated fuel on board over DBQ 9.6. In reality, we are expecting 10.0, which means again we are over what we estimate. We have more fuel than what we thought we would have, plus 400 kilograms, so plus 0.4, whatever you want to call that. So we're plus 2 minutes and plus 0.4 or plus 400. So that's the most important one. There's another check we can do, is the fuel over destination. And that's not all companies will do that, but if you scroll all the way down to Newark, we see 5.9 over Newark. Right now we're estimating 6.5 over Newark, which means we're plus 600 kilograms planned over our destination. So those are fuel time and fuel checks, imbalance checks, etc. Another thing we want to do is we want to first of all check out the weather around us. If we have a weather radar that's working, PMDG, thank you, then we would use that to scroll and make sure we're not running into anything interesting. We can see that there's a layer coming, and we're going to be probably in it, maybe in and out of it all the time. But we want to ask around, maybe ask Center if they know of anything in the future of airplanes that reported any particular turbulence. So we could ask about that and maybe do something about it. There's other videos how to determine what can I do in terms of cruising altitude, but we can consider climbing over the weather. We can consider descending below the turbulent layer. We could consider maybe asking for a reroute, maybe a direct to, maybe we can consult dispatch. We can text dispatch using ACARS and ask, hey, how do you see this weather that we know of developing? Do you think it's safe to continue as we were planned, or do you suggest a different routing? And if so, I would start coordinating that with the air traffic control. So that's about routing and weather. And of course, relating to all of that, we have the seatbelt sign that we can turn on or off. Right now we can see this layer, we're in and out of it, but in reality it's producing a pretty smooth ride, so there's not much we should do about it at the moment, but we can produce some options in case it starts being bumpy. What should I do about it? So that's regarding turbulence and weather and route. Another consideration is well, weather and alternate. So first things first, usually we have a destination and a destination alternate. So we would probably send, again via ACARS, we would send a weather request or ATIS request to check out the progression of the weather. Now I don't know how relevant it is if we just took off for a 10-hour flight and we have a forecast for 10 hours from now. But if we took off for a shorter flight, in our example, the entire flight is 4 hours and 45 minutes, 44 minutes actually. So we can watch the weather and see like an hourly report, or at least maybe 2 hours into the flight starts getting hourly reports towards getting close to our destination and see what the weather is doing, so we can have a better estimate of what to expect. Maybe not necessarily can we land or can't we land, but also if we go to a very busy airport like Newark, for example, and there's bad weather over there, most likely there might also be significant delays coming in. They may put us in a holding for 30 or 40 minutes. Then we might circle back to taking a look at our fuel and thinking, if they do that, how much fuel do we have to hold in case they do that? And should we maybe conserve some fuel? So consider climbing to the optimum altitude, slowing down to a slower, more efficient cruising speed. So that's for our destination. And also for the alternate, we want to make sure it's still valid as an alternate, it's still a good option, or we might be exploring some different options. I will literally scroll the map to the area of the destination and see what other good options are there. For the moment, everything works for the destination and the destination alternate. So lastly, I want to check things in route. So you can see I put rings, beautiful rings that I drew around Des Moines, Iowa. I could put another one around Cedar Rapids, and I put another one around Chicago. Big airports that we know, we work for them. Obviously, Chicago is a big hub for United Airlines, and it's a technique. It's not a requirement, but it's a technique to have some sort of situational awareness. Where are we in relation to potential alternates? Or alternate is a legal definition that we need to list in our flight plan, I guess. So maybe it's not exactly the right decision, but maybe an airport that we know could work if something was to happen right now. If the flight attendants called and said, hey, we have a weird smoke in the cabin, or someone is dying here. So maybe have an idea where we want to divert to, and even send, again using ACARS, we don't have that here, but go to ACARS, the data link, and send for weather requests and ATIS request, and see if that airport is in good weather condition. So in case we need to declare an emergency and divert to somewhere right here, right now, we have an idea what is a good option already. Another thing we can do, we can monitor our performance for landing, so we know our zero fuel weight, we know our expected landing weights, and we know the weather at the destination. We just want to make sure there's no problem, especially if we are marginal with higher weights and potentially a wet runway over the destination. We want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to reach our destination in a good weight that allows us for a safe landing within all of our criteria. And that's maybe an opposite example of where if we arrive a little bit on the heavy side and it's going to be marginal, maybe we should consider some techniques to burn more fuel to reach the destination, not over the max landing weight, or not too close to the max landing weight, so we don't run into an issue with that later on. That's everything that comes to mind right now. So as you can see, there's plenty of things that we are busy with, and of course we have to fly the plane. Yes, it's true that the autopilot is on, but we are managing it. We are making sure it's doing exactly what we want it to do. We are talking with air traffic control, we're talking with dispatch, and we are talking the company operations, and we're talking to the flight attendants. Occasionally we're doing a PA public address to the passengers to tell them what's going on if something is going on. So it can get quite busy. If nothing is really marginal of everything I just discussed, it usually takes us just a couple of minutes to check and discuss every so often, and then continue with our lives. But then revisit this every so often to make sure we're constantly on good terms. And of course, if everything is good, everything is easy, then we can talk about our girlfriends, wives, kids, politics, military service, schedules, and how oh my god, Cruise Scheduling did the best favor for me, and they helped me switch from an assignment that I really couldn't do because my wife has so and so and I had to be home. So yeah, when everything fails, we can just when the flight is not that demanding, we revert to just chatting, of course, and maybe even having a coffee or some food. I hope this was helpful. Let me know what else you think we can or should do Maybe you fly for real life and that's something you do in reality. Oh, something I forgot. If something was happening on departure, for example, in this leg we were slightly late by a few minutes, that's a good time to write the report, the delay report, or God forbid, an ASAP report for some kind of safety abnormality. That's also a good time to do that, of course, while dividing the attention, or maybe just handing over controls and radios to the other pilot while the captain is doing it, for example, and all that stuff. Yep, I hope this was helpful. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if if you learned something. Let me know if there's anything else that I left out that you want to mention. And as always, happy flying, and we're pushing on towards Newark. See you soon.